Hey everybody, wake up. This is Wake Up with Mark Joyner, episode number 45, take two. Today, once again, we are going to talk about Donald Trump. All right, so this is the first time I've done a second take on these, and I'll tell you why here in a second. Because this is number 45, I thought it would be appropriate to talk about President Donald Trump. And the reason I'm redoing this one is the take I took yesterday, I got to say, I showed a little more emotion in there than I wanted to. And I'll tell you why, because I've seen this conversation about Trump split up so many friendships and so many families that it gets to you, and it's a tragic thing. It's a heartbreaking, tragic thing. And I want to give a similar message about this today, but tell it in kind of a slightly different way. Let me just get right to the heart of this thing. Okay, so people say that President Trump is divisive. All right, and now let's talk about that for a minute. I don't know if there is a president. Now I'm not going to say one way or the other what I think about the guy. Okay, I think that there's a lot of truth spoken about him. There are a lot of lies spoken about him on both sides, as if the political spectrum were binary, which it is not. It is far more complicated than that. This whole left-right paradigm is crazy, if you ask me. There's so much nuance to discuss here. If you're talking about the left, or are we talking about social liberalism, economic liberalism? Social conservatism, economic conservatism. There's so many different nuances, that we can discuss here. This whole bifurcation notion is pretty silly. And it's a byproduct of our political system, where we have, generally two dominant parties that battle it out. And we create this facade of conflict to keep the masses distracted while, in my opinion, the real power plays are going on probably, far behind the scenes. But let's talk about this notion as to whether or not Trump is divisive. Is Trump dividing the country? Now, a lot of people will say that it is Trump's language that's divisive. Now, then folks who defend Trump will say that, it's the way that the media is covering him that makes him divisive. They are often, interpreting things that he does in the worst possible light. And this is normal, right? If you watched Fox News, they had some fair criticisms of Obama and some unfair criticisms of Obama. You may remember one day on Fox, they were saying, Obama gave his wife a fist bump, and they said, "Is this a terrorist fist jab?" I thought that was one of the most ridiculous criticisms of somebody ever. And I think Obama's a consummate speaker. I'm not a fan of his political ideology, but man, what an orator, But to say terrorist fist jab, come on. Would anybody with any sense find that a sensible criticism of a man? It's ridiculous. And some of the things that are spoken about Trump, on the left side of the media are quite ridiculous. Some of the criticisms are just absurd. I remember when he met with Putin, it was this: "We will be remembered in history as this great capitulation." But man, I thought they were reading a whole lot into that. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Okay, I don't think that Trump is dividing us. I don't think the media is dividing us. I think we are dividing ourselves, and it's all about the way that we are talking to each other. We have a decision about how we want to act. If you see somebody in a MAGA hat and it offends you, why not go up to them and engage them and ask them, "Hey, why are you wearing that?" You might just learn something from a guy that has a MAGA hat on. Maybe he's not such a crazy loon that you think he is. And maybe if you're a guy that wears a MAGA hat who's pro-Trump, and you see somebody who's into Antifa, although Antifa, is clearly as a group collectively has done a lot of violence. I would like to engage with someone on that side and talk to them about that and find out what's going on in their head. Not just make an assumption about where they're coming from, because it could be that their opinion is far more nuanced than the box that I am putting them in. All right, this is what we do. We put each other in boxes. Now, let me tell you a little story about this. So I'm in Singapore still. This will be my last day here. I'm flying back to Phuket tomorrow. I'm at this fantastic event, learning how to close from the stage from the great Joel Bauer, and it's a fantastic experience. Absolutely fantastic experience. This guy is this guy is a magician. He is that good at what he does, and I saw him bring things out of people yesterday that were just miraculous. Man, I love this guy. I love this guy. Not what you would expect if you've seen your business card sucks video, which is something that he is that is not who Joel Bauer is. Okay, that is a tiny, tiny sliver of that. We are all complex people. That is a very complex man with consummate talent, and he really cares about his students. Truly, truly does. So this morning I woke up, and I needed to get some laundry done because normally, y'all know, I'm in my tank tops and my shorts. That's my uniform. But this room is cold, so fortunately I brought a jacket and a shirt and some pants that I could change into. I had one pair, and I've been wearing it for 2 days now because it's so cold. It was after day 2, I was like, okay, this is too much. I'm literally doing Wim Hof breathing all day in the chair to stay warm. It's that cold in the room, man. And doing Wim Hof for 8 hours straight, I got to tell you, is an exhausting thing. And it got to be distracting. So I said, okay, I'm going to bite the bullet and just wear these clothes. All right. You hear an alarm going off in the background there. Don't ignore that. I wanted to go out and get some laundry done. Now, I walked down to the concierge desk. Now, this has a lot to do with what we're talking about with Trump here, and I'll tell you why. You'll understand in a second. Walked down to the concierge desk, and I said, hey, can I get some change for the laundry? And they said, how much do you need? And I said, well, I need enough to do a load. And so I said, can I? I didn't have any cash on me, so I said, can I just add it to my room? They don't allow that. My immediate reaction was, come on, man. Seriously, you're not going to... Now, this lady working at the desk, this really nice OFW working at the desk, this is not her fault. She does not set the policy, but because I'm in a bit of a hurry, because I got quite a bit to do, I expressed a little bit of annoyance. I was just shocked. Come on, as a hotel, shouldn't you? You should think about this, right? Shouldn't you just add it to the bill? Wouldn't it be something that you would think people would need? Can't do it, so I got to go to an ATM. Now, she tells me where the ATM is, but I said, hey, look, she says, it's over there in this plaza. I'm not going to say where I am, right? So I said, well, I don't know where that is. I don't know Singapore. I said, I need somebody to give me some directions here. So she says, well, the bellman will show you. So I go to the bellman, and the bellman, this guy cannot communicate. I got to tell you, he's trying to tell me where it is. He's like, well, it's just over there. And he gives me 3 different versions of directions, and he keeps saying, well, I think you go this way. And I said, do you think or do you know? I said, I need precision here. And so he gives me very, very bad directions. I finally figured out. Figure out how to find where this ATM is, and it was not simple. I got to tell you, it was a little bit tricky. Got it. Came back, and as I was coming back, I'm aware. I'm outside of myself, seeing myself getting annoyed at these people, right? And I'm even fantasizing about firing off an angry letter to the hotel, because it's not the first bad experience I've had in this hotel. I gotta say, the buffet staff, man, these guys, look at me like I'm a criminal if I want an extra plate of sushi. At this rather expensive buffet, that is billed is sold as something, a lot more fabulous than it actually is. I hate to say it, and so of course, I'm thinking about this. I come back and I'm like, okay, dude, what are you doing? You're getting angry at people. And I'm not really getting angry at him. I'm just I'm annoyed. And I think I'm expressing it a little bit, probably more than is appropriate. And I believe in being very, very respectful to service staff, but I do have short patience for people who don't have pride in their jobs. I don't have a lot of respect for that. I think if I don't care what your job is. My attitude in the Army was, one guy told me, he said, look, if you're cleaning the latrine, be the guy who cleans the latrine better than anybody on the planet. If you have that attitude, you will do very well in this life, I guarantee you. So as I'm walking back, I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, okay, look, this isn't their fault. You're not going to write an angry letter. I don't have time for that. That's silly, right? Let somebody else do that. Let the hotel sort this stuff out themselves. They do need to know, right? But I don't have the time to sit down. I mean, seriously, with all the stuff I got to do, am I going to sit down and write an angry letter? Not the best use of my time. So when I do get back and I have the money in my hand, I see the bellman there, and I'm cordial to him, and I'm trying to turn his attitude around, which is what I did with the people in the buffet staff as well. Yesterday when they were being a little bit rude, I saw the guy who had been rude to me 3 days in a row. And finally, I was just like, I'm gonna make this dude laugh, and I did. I saw him smile, and I could see his attitude shift a little bit throughout the rest of my very brief stay in the buffet, because I had to slam some food down and get to sleep. And when I went to the lady at the front desk, nice little OFW lady, I spoke to her, and I turned her attitude around. I was nice to her, made her smile. We exchanged some pleasantries, and I could tell she felt a lot better, right? So what am I getting at here? When you're angry at people about Trump or whatever their feelings are, if it's for or against him, if you come in with that judgment and you start painting this fantasy in your head about who they are and about how they got to where they are in this path of their very, very complex life, of course you are not going to have a pleasant experience with them. Of course not, right? So why not instead think, okay, man, how does this person believe this about this person? I've got friends who say such extreme things as, anybody who defends, I remember somebody, that it's a good friend of mine said, anybody who defends Trumpism at this point, I do believe is morally deficient. I thought, wow, those are some strong words, man. And I've heard some people who are very pro-Trump say anybody who's against Trump is a traitor, anti-patriot. Man, come on, seriously? Are those words really necessary? And perhaps all those people are a little more thoughtful, a little more nuanced than we are allowing them to be. Now, granted, most of us are quite manipulated in our opinions of things. Most people in politics are just parroting stuff, truly. But let's not be those guys, right? Let's not parrot the talking points. Instead, let's reconsider. Okay, well, how did I get to my position? Why do I actually believe what I believe? For or against Trump. How did I form that opinion? Did I form that through genuine thought, or did I just read a piece of propaganda masquerading as deep thought, which is what you see in most of even the highbrow media these days. If you want to see some shocking examples of that, watch the Joe Rogan podcast with the New York Times reporter. I was stunned, frankly, at how shallow this woman's opinion. I mean, and I hate to speak ill of anyone. I hate it, But man, this has to be said. She's representing an organization that we revere as the paper of record, and she was demonstrating some frighteningly shallow pathways to which she got to her opinions, and she is writing words that are influencing the planet. I think this is something that needs to be said. It's really worth watching that episode of the Joe Rogan podcast. I mean, to discover how this person got to that opinion. So if you're reading the news and you think that the people writing it are some very, very deep thinkers who are qualified to spoon feed you your opinions, I ask you to deeply reconsider that. Because some of them are not so thoughtful at all, and some of them don't have your best interests in mind. Some of them are straight-out propagandists with the pure intention of changing your mind in a particular direction because they're paid to, or that's their belief for whatever their motivations are, and that's a whole other conversation. We don't have any control of any of that. Very little control of it. But what we do have a lot of control over is how we respond emotionally to things, and how we treat other people, how we show up, and how we treat other folks. And I think we got to treat each other a little better than we have been in this political conversation. And I think if we just do that, maybe things are not as bad as we think they are. Maybe they'll be a little bit better. Anyway, that's all I got to say for today, guys. Hope you all have a beautiful day. I know I'm going to have a beautiful day. We have a great day ahead of us, and I'm super looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to the next day after that, too, and the next day after that, because I choose to. I think that's kind of the whole point. All right, y'all. Take care.